in the next version of K9s, we might easily go from somewhat hero to total scum of the earth. I hope not, but I do know this drop, I've seen a lot of code churn and also a lot of changes in the way K9s configure itself and where it loads configuration from, which I'm going to do several videos here upcoming to show you guys, the changes in particular. So make sure you stay tuned to the channel and look at those. But today, it's the spirit of Christmas. Might as well do a little bit of eye candy. I don't want to get something too heavy going here. So let's take a look at that. All right, so in this cluster here, we now have a new command, which you guys have been requested on the repo for quite some time, is the ability to do the equivalent of kubectl get all, right? So this command is allows you to see various, or let's just say curated list of resources for a given namespace, right? So in K9s, this is surfaced as a new view, which is called workload or workloads, or WK for short. And now, this actually shows you all the curated resources within that given namespace and their status or what they are reporting, right? So this is a little bit tricky in K9s because we have this tabular approach and those resources don't report status in the same way. So we try to normalize these into that status and ready columns here, and when it's available, right? So like services right now, we don't report anything of interest, but for others we do, right? So we use the x/y ready, right, where x equal to y or x not equal to y to basically give you a high level view of things that are happy or unhappy within a given namespace, right? This is the global view for this. So business as usual here, you can sort on those columns. You can press enter on the selection to navigate to the resource specific view, in this case daemon set. You can escape out of this, and also you have the usual suspect. I can describe the resource, I can view the YAML for this resource, and I can edit it if I wish as well, okay? The other feature here, and this I've seen quite a bit of enhancement, is the actual K9s prompt, right? So now you can actually lasso in. So if I did workflow again, but now I just wanted to see things filtered by, so let's say something that's useful, Nginx. So now you have a view like this filtered on this particular filter, right? Again, I can still do this, in the same way here, as a regular K9s filter, but you can also specify that directly within the command if you know what you are looking for, okay? So this extends as well to not only label, like, text filter, but also label filter. So for example, here, I can say app equal Nginx, and then filter on all the resources that matches that label, or equally, app equal Nginx and Fred equal something like that, right? So those are and queries on the filters that will match all the resources that matches both of those labels. Okay, so that's kind of cool. So the thing I wanted to show you here is that if I edit this deployment, the Nginx deployment, and let's go ahead and mess around with the image, for example. So if I go to this image and let's say, get something that is not there, save the file. Now we can actually see, what happened when you have things that are not happy, right? So we collated the status degraded. In this case, the replica set and the pod as expected are not happy anymore, and we are surfacing that at that level. So now you can, again, select on this to go at a higher in the view specific of that resource and dig in, the logs or what have you here to figure out what is going on. Okay, so let's make this happy again. So if I go back up here and edit the image to make it happy, I should have it here. And let's say I get a good image. And now, you know, things should go back to their usual happy state, right? So that's one of the features here available, you know, in workloads. Now, the next thing, and I want to give praise here to Jason Wang for enabling that feature, is you can also filter by name completion namespace. So in this case here, we can now, you know, filter on, let's say, cube system, if you will, and be able to do that. So if you see Jason somewhere, make sure you give him a big hug for helping us out, you know, on this implementation and make that happen, which I think is really handy and useful. Okay. The next thing that is interesting, again, going back to this workflow view here, is I could specify, let's say, for example, default namespace. And now I actually want to switch context. I can use the @ sign now. And again, we have completion on this. So let's say if I wanted to go to kind, and switch context within that command, right? So in a single shot. This is something that was requested as well, and kind of handy to have now, especially in multi-cluster type of environment where you won't be able to see and navigate around without having to have perhaps several windows of K9s or what have you up. You can actually do this. So there's actually two features here. For people that have a keen eye, is one, you can see that when I switch context, I also switch the look and feel of the UI, right? So we have now a new attribute called skin that is available at the context level. So previous version of K9s allowed you to, you know, skin K9s globally or skin at the cluster level, but now we have the ability to skin it at the context level, right? And if I flipped here to pod, so again, I'm now in that new context. For those that are keen-eyed, you can actually see here that there's no more edit commands, for example, right? So this also uses another flag, another attribute on this, which is the read-only attribute. So now you can, you know, specify that read-only bit on a specific context, you know, so this is also an enhancement there. Again, yes, use RBAC policies on your user to confine your user capabilities on the cluster, but if you need this functionality, it is now available there at the context level, which is kind of cool. All right, so now if I use, again, this applies to all commands in K9s. You can always use those text filters, namespace, label filters, and context filters. So if I go back to my previous context here, and let's say, for example, let's go ahead and look at the alias, the alias view. You can now see in my alias, I actually define a new alias here. So aliases are also, you can define those globally, but also you can define them at the context level. And in this case, for this particular context, I actually want to surface a new command, WD, right? So aliases also got a little bit of an upgrade. Prior versions of K9s only allowed you to specify GVR, right, for group version resource, as we see here in, you know, pod or dep or whatever. But now you can also use an alias command itself and specify the full command for something where you want to filter, in this case, workflows by namespace using a label filter, okay? So when I save this alias, now if I go back to the alias view here, and I filtered on this WD, I think it was called, okay, you see it right here. And when I press enter here, you actually get the full filter view of that, right, which is kind of cool. So similarly, in the same vein, if I went back to my plugin here, I can also now do this, right? So now you can also flip the context and be able to see that. So when I hit the WD again, now I will actually see that workloads view within the kubesystem namespace, but within a completely different context, right? So that's kind of handy and cool to be able to use those meta commands, if you will, to navigate like known workloads on your clusters a little bit easier in K9s. Okay, so I think that was pretty much all I wanted to show you guys. I hope you find this useful. I hope that will justify a little bit of pain with the upgrade, but stay tuned on the channel. I'm going to do more details videos about what that means. I want to take the time now to also wish you all a Merry Christmas, Happy New Year, and filled with good health and happiness. And also mention that this effort, K9s, doesn't happen. It's not pimped out by big companies. It's all my time and a few of you times, working on this project. This week, I actually took vacation time to actually complete this version. So this doesn't happen for free, right? So if you find K9s useful, find that it increases your productivity, saves you minutes or hours during the day, this has to be worth something to you, right? So talk to your boss, consider sponsoring the projects. That will go a long way in helping us, continue with this effort and stay motivated, and knowing that there's actually a give back, right? It's not only a taking situation. So please be mindful of that. It is the season for giving, so feel free to do so if you are so inclined. Thank you so much for listening, and I'll catch you on the next one. Bye.